Hello, my friends. I just want to get a video out just to let people know that there is starting to be closures in some of the national forests in Arizona. So two of the ones that I absolutely know of is the Coconino and the Tonto National Forest. So I am going to be putting in the description box a link to some of their websites that you can get more information to about these closures. Now, the Coconino National Forest, part of an area that is going to be affected is in some areas outside of the Flagstaff area. So a lot of snowbirds kind of move more north and go into the Flagstaff area. But just for your information, they are closing the San Francisco Peaks, Mount Eldon area, Kelly Canyon area, Bay Canyon Fisher Point area, Mormon Mountain area, and there's some areas that are affected outside of the Flagstaff area, which is the Muggiam Rim area, south of the State Route 87, and also there's a Fossil Creek area that's in a Red Rock Ranger District. Those are being affected in the Coconino National Forest. So I will actually show you a picture of what it's going to look like when they do these closures, and they did give a map on the Coconino National Forest websites, but I'll show you that picture. You can also go to their website and then get more detailed information. I just found out about the Tonto because we were kind of wondering about that as well, and they are closing that. So the closure starts May 23rd at 8 o'clock at the Coconino, and then 6 a.m. at the Tonto. So again, it's coming up Wednesday, this Wednesday the 23rd. We've had several people come in. Yesterday we had a person come in. We've had two come in today, some rangers and some from the, the forest fire, district. So that's in this area. Like, these people only handle the Coconino. So they're of the fires, U.S. Department of, fires that are handled that situation in these areas. So they came through and letting us know. And then they've also had another ranger that came in today. So I think we've had two rangers. So it's just been really busy. They're just making sure that everybody knows in this area that we are to be out of here by Wednesday morning in the area that we are at. So I just want you to know. And trying to see, yeah, U.S. Forest Service. I wanted to make sure I had them right. So it's the U.S. Yeah, they said they handle mostly a lot of the things that are related to fires. Okay, they're the ones who gave me that paper, so I'll make sure I have them defined right. Okay, so there's so much information to know. The other thing is why they need to do this is because the area has been so dry, and so it's basically for the safety of the people in this area, and there are homes throughout certain areas that are spread out, and so if a fire started, it's going to burn very, very quickly. Arizona has been pretty dry for a winter and early spring here, so they have not had very much rain at all. So I don't think they've had very many closures, in the past several years. So this is pretty, serious that they are having to do this closure. Sorry if the phone gets a little wiggly, but I've got so much information that I'm trying to get to you guys. Now, if someone was to violate this, basically they take it very seriously. There is a $5,000 fine or imprisonment of up to 6 months or both. So they take it very seriously if you are caught in an area that they have closed, that you still try to get in there and camp and stuff, you will be cited, okay? They do have a you know, protocol as far as how to get people out once they close the gate, because I asked the guy, you know, from the U.S. Forest Service, and I said, well, if you close the gate and there's someone out here that had a vehicle and you weren't able to actually get the person, what do you do? And they said they do have a way to let them know. There is a number that's put on by the gate, so they have to contact that number, and then someone will tell them what to do on how they can get out. Okay, so they'll have a way to help those kind of people if they're in that situation. Okay, now I would check any area you're traveling through right now, and even non-forest area. I heard some areas are being closed as well. So before you go, no matter even non-forest areas, the BLM area, wherever you're going through, I would double check and make sure that there is no closures, or also what the restrictions are for fires. Basically, a lot of this again is for fires, to prevent fires. Now the rest of the area outside of the closures are still in a stage 2 fire restriction. Okay, and I will put a picture of what that means, and I also am putting many links, so links of the Tonto Forest, the Coconino Forest, so you can go online and look also what the fire restriction means, and it's related to the Coconino. Okay, but the stage 2 fire restriction basically is the same throughout the state. So if it's in a stage 2, basically, just to summarize, it means no fires, campfires, charcoal, coal, and wood stoves, no smoking, definitely no fireworks, explosives, anything like that. So the fines on that are especially making a fire, because we talked to a guy today and he said that he had cited 20 people already for having, fires. It's very serious. It could be up to $500, but you find out more what the cost will be by having to appear in court. So you do have to appear in court if someone violates that. So it's a huge inconvenience for someone who is traveling and they don't abide by the stage 2 restrictions. So they'll have to either come back at some point, but they will have to appear in court. So that's crazy. So it's just really important, to listen, know where you're going, know what's going on with the fire situation and restrictions. We always check constantly where we're at, what's going on, and even if we're at a place for a long time, like where we're at, I mean, we were still looking and making sure there hasn't been any changes. And that's when we found out about the closure before they even actually came in and told us about it. We already knew about it like a week in advance. The other thing is, want to say is that there was a girl that came through this area and she wanted to camp near us, as she'd always camped there all the time. And so, we were talking and I let her know that, well, we're in a stage 2 fire restriction. So she said, well, can't we have a little fire? And I said, no fire at all. She goes, not even a little one? Because she had no way to cook her food. She says, that's the only way I have to cook my food. And I said, well, no, that means no fires, not even a little fire. And she had water. She goes, well, I know how to put it out, and I've got water, and I've always, done that. And we talked about water and putting fires out with water in. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that. But even if you do, when they're in these kind of situations, if they don't put enough water and they have, huge fire or something, and the fire could be still smoldering, down deep, that you might not get it all out. And it's so windy in a lot of the areas and throughout Arizona that it just takes somewhat of a wind to just come through and just blow that the ash, and expose the hot you know, smoldering ash underneath and spread it out and spark just a tiny bit, and boom, you've got yourself a big fire. And that happened in this area where someone left the fire, you know, was camping one area, and the next day it caused a fire. So, I mean, it does happen, and homes were destroyed. It was just not a good situation where we were at, or a little further more north of where we were at. So not a good situation. And then people like this, so I said, well, you know, you're more than welcome to use, I have an extra propane stove, and you're welcome to use that. And I did everything I could, you know, to make it a little bit easier for her, because, you know, no fires means no fires, even little fires. And I'm not too sure, if we weren't here, if she would have still done it. But she ended up leaving and not end up staying and camping. But there are so many people like that. They cited 20 people for violating, you know, the stage 2 restrictions. So please get the word out, and you know, if you're out there, you're a nomad, or you're traveling, or just even a camper, you know, get the word out. Let people know to look in those areas, and that means all states, because Oregon was in a no fire ban last year too, and they had their restrictions, and we were in a stage 2, and yeah, fires banned and everything throughout all of the summer at most of the time we were there. So it is very important to know these, you know, restrictions, and know the area you're traveling through. Check that National Forest's website, and always know, okay? So by the links below, you'll be able to even use this as an example of what to look for. On the very right-hand corner, on the very top of the National Forest's website, we'll have, you know, any emergency information, alerts are going on, will be a little triangle, and then what that is, you know, going on in that area. So use some of these as a little tool to be able to learn what to look for as well, okay? Since we do know that they are enclosures in stage 2, and the ones that are closed, you'll see that has 2 triangles, one that says closure, the next one says underneath stage 2 restrictions, okay? So great tool to get familiar as that tool of what to look for. All right, so I hope this information was helpful, and so look in the description box for those links. Stay safe, and I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video.